Hi, I'm Callie Campbell, and I'm a member of the Westfield Volunteer Rescue Squad. I've been riding for about a year and a half now. I'm also a former Westfield teacher, I'm a Westfield parent, and I'm a lifelong Westfield resident. I really hope that you will help us raise money for our new squad building. You can do so at www.givetothesquad.com. Thanks for your support.
GiveToTheSquad.com.
Sometimes I get nervous still, you know?
Yeah, I get that. I would too.
Are you nervous?
I mean, always a little nervous, right?
I don't know where to look. But.
Yeah, you're fine. Just talk to Amanda.
right here, deep into my eyes. You're getting deeper and deeper. Yes. Have you actually ever done hypnosis?
No, but
I haven't.
No?
Jeff did it a lot.
Yeah, it's really cool.
To stop smoking. And
really?
I think
Did
he
it work?
stopped smoking.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, I did it last summer. It was awesome. It was like life-changing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like not what people think it is. I think
Yeah.
like you're going to go do weird shit.
Yeah.
But it's more about getting into your subconscious and being able to like reprogram and change habits, and you don't even realize it's changing, but it just does, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll talk more about that another time. But welcome back to another episode of That Westfield Podcast. Today we're joined by Amy Mockbee and Emily Boucher of Work and Play. What's up, ladies?
Hi.
How
We're
are you?
so glad to be
Good.
here.
Thanks for coming in August. Everyone's on vacation right now.
It's
except
true.
for us, right?
Everybody's on vacation.
Sorry, we're out here working hard because you guys are getting ready for the new school year with what you do.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So Work and Play, you guys are basically childhood experts and kind of bridging the gap between parents and educators because you are both. And you just help everybody in that area just live life better, help the kids better, help yourselves better. So definitely wanted to talk to you guys more about what you do. So Amy, tell me a little bit more about how you guys got started, what Work and Play is, and we'll get into it.
Yeah, absolutely. So Emily and I have been friends for over 30 years. We started in Manhattan teaching together as associate teachers in a Manhattan private school, and we just hit it off right away. At that point, we did not have all these children between us. We had not been teaching a long time. We thought we had everything figured out and we'd know how to do everything, but we had nothing figured out. But we did know that we hit it off, and we just like immediately became best friends and connected. And we've kind of done this journey together of teaching, working, getting married, having children, and what we keep coming back to again and again is talking about early childhood, talking about young children. And at that time, we were really more focused on kids.
Right.
But as we became parents, we had these long conversations about what we were struggling with, what was hard for us, how we were working with teachers, how we were working with our partners, how we were managing our kids' different stages and different challenges that they had, because we had all of them. Emily has 5 children. I have 3 children. So there's a wide range.
Dogs.
And we were teaching, and we each have 2 dogs. Just a wide range of experiences and families we were seeing in schools and then at our own life. And we would have these conversations and we'd say like, oh gosh, I wish we were recording that. Like somebody else could really use that. Because we just felt like the more we were parenting and as the times were changing, things were getting more isolated. You didn't just like, we were always working. So we weren't at the pickup line talking to other parents saying, is this normal? Am I messing this up? But we always had each other. So eventually we just kept saying like, we need to do this. We love working with parents. We love supporting kids. And so we don't get enough time to do that as teachers and in schools. So we started Work and Play, which is a really unique service for parents mostly, who just helping parents become empowered and work through things, build community, build connection with their children and trust their gut, that they know what they're doing, even when it feels like you're totally messing up and you don't know what you're doing. And then we've also started working with teachers too. Right. Yeah, go ahead.
And I think I've also been a director as well as a teacher, and I think that's how that kind of started. I started to say to Amy, there's a lot of teachers out there who I think would benefit from this kind of professional development. And I think the other important piece of all this is that I think we're at a really important time in history with education and with parenting. Obviously, screens and social media and all of that adds to it. Kids aren't playing outside as much as they used to be, used to independent play and everything. And so I think at this moment in time, Amy and I find that it's really important for parents and for teachers to get this kind of professional development, for lack of a better word, workshops, discussions, deep dives that isn't just somebody talking to them, but really a place where they can express their parenting pitfalls, their parenting successes, their teaching, successes and pitfalls, and have a place, something that builds them up and makes them feel better, brings them up. because sometimes, you go to a PD or you go to a workshop as a parent and it's somebody talking to you and you walk away and you don't actually feel great and you don't leave with any nuggets really. You just kind of feel like I should do better. So,
yeah, I'm messing it up.
Yeah.
Do you find that you're almost teaching parents how to naturally be parents again, like almost like undoing a lot of the learning that's been happening over the years? Like people are just overthinking it in a lot of ways?
I think there's that overthinking thing. I think everything's super prescribed. And, we talk to parents all the time. I hate to keep coming back to it, but parents are on their phones all the time. We all are. On some
especially
sort of
when you own a
device.
business, right?
Right. Yeah. And so, especially when you're in the business. So I think there's a lot of parenting advice that's on either end of the spectrum. Like, if you do this, that's, this is like this amazing kind of ninja move that will fix your parenting, but then it doesn't. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. Because all children are different.
Right.
So I think Amy and I are trying to constantly, we talk about in the middle parenting a lot. That's something that we talk about. And meaning like not prescribing to either extreme, but really going to the child that you're working with and thinking about them thoughtfully.
Right.
What's going on with them and what's your goal?
Right. So how do you guys typically work with parents? I understand you have memberships, but you're also doing some new like small group stuff. And obviously then we'll get into your workshops, your professional development, because that's really cool too.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So we do have memberships where we find that some parents really do love to have one-on-one time with us. And with the memberships, they can text us right in the moment and say like, I just dropped off my kid. She was screaming. I'm sweating. I'm crying. Like, what did I do? Is this going to get better? Like, how am I, whatever their challenge is. We definitely have phone calls. So part of the membership is you have access to us and resources that we can give you. And so we can really get to know you and your family and your goals, right? So what is it that you want your family to look like? Every family is going to be different, and the needs of every family are going to be different. That depends on the children, on the parents, on what your lifestyle is. So those memberships are really unique that you can be completely individualized, and we are accessible. So you kind of have that person, like we always said, like, wouldn't it be great if you could like just call some person and be like, am I doing this right? And so
we're those people.
So that's what we do with the memberships. But we're finding the more we do, we're doing some bigger workshops and doing some outings with other businesses and getting to know other parents, that parents were really responding to having a small group where they could really talk and we could kind of have almost like a moderated conversation, right? So we have a topic that's really speaking to a small group of parents, whether let's say it's bedtime or how much to use screens, whatever it might be. And we will send some things like some food for thought, whether it's a clip or an article or a blog post, something. And then we come together and we have a conversation with food and drinks. And so it's social. And so you're connecting with other parents, but we're also there as the experts with our expertise on child development, about parenting, kind of helping people work through things. And sometimes it's us giving the advice, sometimes it's other parents, which I think is so magical and lots of different ages. So we started really in early childhood, but now we're finding this is applicable to any parent.
Right. The mixed ages is it's kind of more fun to have people who have kids who are, really little up until the elementary school, even the tween age, and because the parents of the older children help the ones with the younger and vice versa. And this idea of these dinners that parents host. So basically, if you're the parent, you pay for, you create some food and pay for food and drinks and set it all up, kind of like a book club, right? And then we show up and we do our thing and we have these discussions. And to us, we feel like, and to these parents who are involved, it feels like a really nice night out, but you're getting something done. You're learning a little bit more.
Productive.
You're hearing from other people. You're also a little bit like therapy, like you're getting to talk about stuff that matters. I mean, I think the thing about parenting is that it's messy. We always talk about messy parenting.
Yeah.
And like I have 5 kids and I was just thinking about this morning and, you kind of think, well, like first pancake, first one, right?
And, you mess up the first kid.
It is true. Like if only you could bottle.
I'm the oldest. What are you telling me?
Exactly.
If only you could,
she's the oldest too, so don't worry.
But like, if only you could bottle the parenting that but that's not the case. Like even my little guy who's amazing, he doesn't get stuff that the first one got. So there's no way to possibly do it. So we have to keep working at it. That's what good parenting is.
5 kids. It's doing the work and the play. That's where we got our name.
And playing every day. There's no coasting really.
Yeah, people are so hard on themselves, right? It's like, I'm fucking up. It's like, of course you're fucking up. Like, do you not know that you were going to mess up? Like,
nobody knows how to parent. We've said that before. We're like, by the way, nobody knows what they're doing.
Our parents told us us 1,000 times that we didn't come with manuals, right? It's
Yeah.
like-
Well, also like something that we were just listening to, she says something about like, do any of us wake up and say, like my parents were such good parents all the time? Like nobody says that. No offense, I love my parents, but nobody says that. Like I hope I could be perfect like my parents. No,
it's impossible. And it's being a parent is a learning experience, and
Right.
also being a teacher. So that's what I love what you guys do. It's like you have both perspectives, which most people do. I mean, if you're the teacher and you have kids, you usually get that perspective, but the parents who are not teachers don't always get that. And I cannot imagine how difficult it is. I used to joke that in the restaurant that people should pay me to teach their kids how to work.
Right. Yes.
Because they would just
true.
be standing there staring at me, and I'm giving them all this money, and I have to show them, and it's a lot of work being a teacher. And then you have to come home and parent your own kids, and then you send your kids into school, right?
Right.
And like, I can't. The whole thing's just so wild to me. So like, all I can think is like, we all just have to be super forgiving of each other and ourselves, and just be like, okay, today wasn't my best day. What's
Right.
next, right? Tomorrow's another
and
day.
I also think, and I know we've talked before, last time we talked, you would understand this, but I also think it's like anything else in life. Like we work really hard. Like I run marathons and I work out. It's kind of like that, right? So like we all
course
have
you
this
do.
stuff that we think about. We think about our nutrition. We think about all of this. Why can't we find a time to think about this?
Cool.
And
Think about parenting,
Have
yeah.
fun too.
Right.
Yeah, it's fun.
Cool.
Yeah.
So you have these memberships, people can work with you one-on-one.
Right.
You have the small groups where people can invite their friends over or whatever,
Right.
many people, and you guys just have these awesome, almost bonding, tribal. I love that. It's like what do you call them? Pods?
Yeah,
Right? Or whatever.
Exactly what it
And
is.
then you do professional development in schools and
Exactly.
shops or other. So tell
Right.
us a little bit more about that, in case anyone
Yeah.
wants to hire you.
About in the schools, you mean?
Yeah, that's really cool.
Okay, so for schools, and this is what's really gotten interesting, is because just to be perfectly honest with you, we're a 4-year-old business. We're
Yeah.
just about to be
Yeah.
4.
Yeah.
So we pivoted a lot. We
course.
talked
Yeah,
about that.
gotta do it.
And we
Yeah.
started off just working with parents, and now it's really fun because we're talking to a lot of schools, and we're saying, we want to do this workshop with your teachers, and it's all about parent-teacher connection, let's say. And then, sure enough, they're like, well, could you maybe do something with the PTA and do a similar kind of workshop, but from the parent view? So we're kind of working with both
Cool.
sides of it. But in terms of the teachers that we work with, we do kind of across the board. Like it could be working with teachers in preschool and teaching them a little bit more about literature. It could be about math. It could be about behavior.
Yeah, social emotional learning, which is a big,
We do a
big
lot
push
with
in this.
like observing.
Yeah, and talking about how to connect with parents.
Right.
So, we've been teaching for a really long time, and the way that people parent and the way that teachers teach, there are ways that it's harder to connect. We don't see parents as often because parents are working. Both parents are working. Sometimes they're working at home. Totally. So the way they're parenting is different, but also how the teachers can connect with them is different. Because we used to, and back in the day, we would write a newsletter on a piece of paper. We'd put it in the bag. Maybe somebody would read it. Maybe they wouldn't. Nobody's reading anything because
No,
it's
not
who
at
has
all.
time, and me included. I get this stuff in my inbox, and I'm like, I don't have time to read this.
Wow.
And so we're trying to help teachers see, like, listen, this is where parents are. So this is how they're parenting. This is what their life is like. Like this, it's not easy to be a parent today, but you need to find a way to connect with them. There are ways to build bridges so that the parents are connected to you, connected to their children. We're all on the same team, right? So helping parents see that teachers are their ally, and same with the teachers, that parents are on their same team too.
Right. And then to the directors specifically of these schools, I think something, and directors have said this to us, that sets us apart, is that it's custom, individualized. So oftentimes, every time we sit down with these directors, and as we're planning, like oftentimes we'll do the PD, the professional development that leads up to school starting.
Right.
And so they're kind of like, we need you for these 3 hours. And as we're thinking through it, they're like, we work with them because they'll say something like, this is something I feel like my teachers really need help with. Like when there's something about students, like when you're red flagging, there's a red flag. What's the process? What do you do next? Like, how do you talk to the parents about it? And so we can create the slides and the presentation that match up to what they need specifically.
Right.
Yeah, and if they have a young faculty or an old faculty, like with more veteran teachers, if they have both, so how to help both kinds of people who've been teaching forever. Because when you're a teacher, you're really routine based, right? Like, we can say this, we've been teaching for almost 30 years, so we know that, like, you do kind of get stuck in your ways. I mean, I have a story that I always tell that, like, I had this one child who only wanted to sit at the blue table, and I kept being like, no, but every day we mix it up. And finally, the mom said to me, is there a reason he can't sit at the blue table? And I finally was like, duh. Yeah. Why does he have to move? This is so, why am I stuck in my same thing? So it's a small example, but teachers who've been teaching a long time really benefit from it too, to kind of look at things and come at children and child development and parents with curiosity instead of just like, I know what I'm doing. I understand this, because it's usually so nuanced, and we need to give it the time and energy that it deserves.
And getting back to what we were saying before, I think it's this moment in time where we're being inundated with information all day long. So on the teacher side and on the parent side, it's like, you'll read an article or you'll go to some sort of workshop and they're telling you, this is what you have to do to make your kids eat healthy. This is what you have to do to stop the tantrum. But instead of that, Amy and I want to come from the other direction of it and say, how can we help you? How can we meet the children where they are right now?
Right. I love that. And that's with anything. Like, we see it a lot in health and wellness too. Everyone's like telling you exactly what to do. And it's like, we almost just need, it's good to have some information, but it's almost like you're teaching a child. It's like you're teaching them to develop their own intuition and own knowing and understanding of things, to know what they should do for themselves, and nobody teaches that anymore. It's kind of just like, do this, right? It's like no one will learn unless they learn how to develop themselves as a person.
Right. And that's the messy part, right? That's the part that people can get uncomfortable with, right? Like, am I doing it right? Am I making a mess? And if you're not, then you're probably not learning something new, right? Like, that's how it is.
I love that. Okay, so you're currently at a Montessori school, right?
Yes. Well, I'm consulting. I'm the consultant there. I was the director for the first few years.
Cool.
So I've recently relocated, and I had this incredible experience where I was the director of Montessori school, which, I mean, I wrote my college essay on Maria Montessori.
Wow,
so pretty nerdy thing to do. But anyways, I ended up
before it was cool, right?
Right, way before it was cool. It was a while ago.
But I incorporate a lot of what I've learned about the Montessori method into everything, into my parenting, and into what Amy and I do. And it's really, go ahead.
Do you find that those methods are almost how do I say, they kind of really need to be introduced on a more broad scale to more people? I personally am a huge fan of it. If I could go back in time and be born at a different time.
I think I would have been a good Montessori kid.
I would have thrived. I mean, because I was a C student, I was always bored. I wasn't interested in anything, because the things that I was good at weren't cool in school, right? Mm-hmm. It was like I was terrible at test taking, but my imagination, my ability to create and do all these and entrepreneurial stuff was like not really. I was always getting in trouble. I was always selling candy in the coat closet, getting yelled at in a Catholic school. So like, there's nothing I could do about it. But I see so many kids who struggle, and like, I'll meet them, random friends' kids, and I'm like, wow, you just can tell that they have this beautiful talent, and it's just not being brought out in them. So that's what I love about.
I mean, Amy knows I'm like a broken record, but I wish that, and they're starting to do it a little bit, but I wish that the public schools would just take some of the material, at least the materials, because the materials are incredible, like the math materials, for example. That would have changed my whole math life, because I would have learned, I think, how to do math in a much better way, because the materials are so incredible.
Wait, what's the difference between what public school math is and Montessori? So, is it like our old math?
There's
so many different ways to teach math now.
They have these incredible, it would be too much to get into, but I'll send you some of the stuff. But they've got like these wooden sticks, and it's all
very hands-on and concrete.
That when I watch the children doing it, I'm like, oh, that makes perfect sense. Like that way to divide. If you're watching it happen with these cubes and sticks and using all the materials, it makes perfect sense.
Staring at a flat piece of paper.
And trying to just remember the steps. And there's all different kinds of learners. Like some people that really works for them just doing it on paper, but I also think that's one of the parts about same thing with parenting is like what might work for one of your children isn't going to work for another one, so being really open to different approaches is really helpful, and Montessori offers a lot of that.
And slowing it down. I think we talk to a lot of the parents that we work with about just being a little bit more thoughtful, like does your child need to do something every day after school? Are they the kind of kid? Some kids do thrive with more.
Well, where's the line? Where's the balance between pushing your kid and motivating them and teaching them how the world works, and like giving them a break and letting them just be? You just have to know your own kid, I guess.
You have to know your own kid, but also, again, we are living in this. I was just talking to somebody about this the other day. We're living in this world where, to get into college now, for example, if you're going to call that like that's like over here, right? To get into college is so hard, and you're supposed to do all of these things so you get into college. So that's the mindset. So I think at a young age, you know, when you have little ones, you're already like, well, I better sign them up for soccer, or I better make sure that they do that music class, or they should do an instrument. I find myself doing it. Like, you're not going to do an instrument? Well, maybe they don't need to do an instrument. Maybe they don't need to do soccer. But I think that this is the mentality. So I think you have to, I want to be brave enough to move forward and kind of say, I'm going to do what makes sense for my kid, which is really hard. And that's what our message is.
And we always say, like, kind of putting your blinders on. That's one of the phrases we use, like, just focus on your life, your kids, your goals. And it's really hard to do because there's so much noise out there. And you do, as parents, we have this constant list of, am I doing this right? Did I get everything done? Am I, you know, it's constant movement, constant, like, reconsidering, like, oh my gosh, did I miss the boat? And that's I think typical of parenting, but now it's like times 1,000 because of all the information coming at us and coming at our kids. So
and I think parents
it is good to take a step back.
I think we can help them a little bit with that confidence piece, because they can say, my kid was the only kid that didn't have their bathing suit today at camp, and they did like the slip and slide. They were the only one that didn't have it. We all have stories like that, right? Like, I was the only kid that didn't get a yearbook. I was the only kid that didn't have money for the book fair. So what I say to those parents, and I know Amy does this too, and Amy's always done it for me, and I've done it for her, is that's great. That is great. Like, that is going to set your kid up for success. And I'm not even joking. I mean, like, she's the one I called crying when I forgot to pick somebody up for, from school. Like, it feels so bad. It could make me cry right now. It's the worst feeling. It hurts. Hurts.
Yeah. And the kids remember. I remember when my mom forgot to pick me up.
But it's important.
I guess I let it go.
It happens. We're human.
Is they're saying about these kiddos right now is that they never have that discomfort. So you need to have that discomfort.
Some of that's okay. And then you're going to be okay after it, right? They were okay that they didn't have their bathing suit or didn't have the money for the book fair. They were disappointed, but they were okay.
Right.
And those stories stick with you.
It's teachable. Yeah.
No, I think now looking back, now I feel bad. I was like, I made her feel bad about that for a long time.
One of the exercises we do with parents is, and I'm like a big proponent of this, is thinking back to when you were a kid, like remembering, who is it? Fred Rogers.
Right, Mr. Rogers.
Mr. Rogers says that.
Like, who's Fred? I'm like, oh, Mr.
Yeah. Mr. Rogers, yes. That's Mr. Rogers' neighbors.
He says something like that. Like, it all being a good parent is being able to remember when you were young and looking back to
what it was like to be a child.
What was it like to be a child? Right. And that's kind of like, if you look back and think about memories, you'll probably have memories like that where you're like, oh yeah, like I was the only kid, but you probably you're not saying, oh, I wish that didn't happen. You're probably like, that was a great moment because I got past it.
Yeah, I got past it. And there are other things that stick out,
and that when you say that out loud, it makes me think about the times where like another kid forgot their snack or something. I felt bad for them, or I developed like empathy through that moment. Yeah. So it's like everything is just a learning experience. And if we could just not beat ourselves
even
up
being
too badly.
mean, like there's a lot of conversations about bullying and not being nice. And I think that we all have memories of when we ourselves were not nice. And I know I have one that sticks with me. And
were you a bully?
I was a bully one day. But it stuck with me because it didn't feel good. It's kind of like siblings. Like you fight with siblings and you say horrible things to your siblings.
I guess I should feel bad.
No, but what I mean is like, that's practice. They say that's practice.
That's practice for the world, right? How you're going to interact with the world.
The worst thing to your family.
Totally.
Still, actually.
I talk like the worst to my family.
That's so funny.
So that's the kind of stuff we help with.
Heavy stuff. It's heavy stuff, but also light stuff. It's like I almost look at everything like you could see it as this like big thing to hurdle, or it's just kind of like a small bump in the road. I think we tend to make things a lot bigger than they actually are, and the more bigger we make them, the harder you feel like you're just getting beat up all the time. Where it's like you just see them all as like little humps and like think, hey, you can get over this. Hey, you can get through this. Here's your outside of your family, right? Or your work and play family.
Yep, exactly.
To help you get through it, and that's really cool. I think the way that you guys offer support, anybody could be educated, anybody could read about a topic and get the information. It's the support that is super valuable to people right now that people are willing, I think, to pay for. I pay for a lot of support, like in health and wellness, like different health coaches and things like that, because depending on what you're going through, and it might not be forever. You might just need someone for like a year, and you're like, you know what, that was
some
tough.
People just I just shared this yesterday. We just had a dad come up to us and say the 3 phone calls that we had about their son who was having a hard time was like, that's what they needed. They needed
Yeah, it, like,
somebody
changed
to kind of
their
help
life.
them refocus
amazing.
and say, okay, what did that meeting mean with the teacher? What are the things that we can try? They needed to
Right.
like have a reboot and talk together with somebody else.
Right. Mhm.
So
This is
we're
great.
really good at
This is
that.
Yeah, and to hear somebody, like, it's just like when you go to a therapist, somebody who's not in it with you, but
Right.
we have the different perspective of, we're teachers, we're parents, and we can listen to the whole picture. We ask different questions than a teacher might, or, your partner might, and so we can get to the heart of things and give some strategies and ideas
Yeah.
that maybe you didn't consider. And we've
Right.
benefited from that with each other and just from people in general.
And I think too, getting back to the teachers in these classrooms, I think they love that Amy and I have this, that we have all the experience.
Right,
So like
totally.
Amy actually teaches 3-year-olds right now. So
do?
she'll say, so the other day this happened in the classroom, and I've been a director a lot recently, so I'm able to say like, listen, this is what it was like in my school. And we also are realistic. Like we say, we know how hard it is.
Right.
When
This
you've
is
got
not easy.
this many 3-year-olds in the classroom, we know that it's
amazing.
really hard. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
kind of real talk.
I would
Real
be like,
talk.
I don't even
Real
know
talk.
how I was just like, oh my God, I need to like,
It's not for everyone,
keep track. I'd just be
Amanda.
counting them constantly.
There's a lot of count. There still is a lot of
A lot of counting. There's definitely a lot of counting. All heads accounted
Oh
for.
my God. All right, guys. Well, tell everyone where they can find you. This was awesome. And I what you guys need is do is so needed. And I don't think many people realize, like, you guys are out
Right.
there. Who do you serve? What areas? So let's tell them that.
Yeah,
And where they can
so
find you.
I am here in Westfield, and Emily is nearby in Spring Lake. But we work all over New Jersey. We've worked in Connecticut, a lot of Manhattan schools. We've worked in Connecticut. So we really, because we can do things either in person or online, especially if you're doing a phone call, if you're needing that kind of consultation, we don't have to be right next door to you. But a lot of the schools we work with that we go to are within driving distance of here,
Right.
and so we've served that whole community, but not limited to that.
Cool.
Yeah.
virtual, always virtual, right? All right.
Yeah.
Your website,
So,
Instagram, all that sort of stuff.
Yes.
You should definitely hit up our website, and as soon as you find Work and Play,
ECC, which stands for Early Childhood
Yeah.
Consulting. So it is
Okay.
that there is that
Play
part.
ECC.
Work and A&D.
A&D, yep.
Yep, Work and Play ECC. If you go there right away, when you open that up, there'll be an option to sign up for our newsletter.
Right, which
your freebie.
me included usually click it right off. Don't, because
No,
we send
don't
out
click it off.
a
You
great
have to sign up for
content.
the
Well, you
newsletter.
give something for free too. It's
Yeah,
like
starter
what
kit
was it?
with
Starter
ideas.
kit.
Yeah,
go
like
get
how
the-
to-
yeah, go get the starter kit. Give me your email address. I promise they won't.
Yeah, we have a blog on there that has, we post on there a lot and there's tons of them that people keep going back to and
Yeah.
reading.
Nice.
And then on Instagram.
Right. And we just got a compliment the other day from someone who said, I actually read your newsletter.
the best feeling.
I mean,
actually read
such
we
something.
a
know that's a big compliment.
It's a good
I know.
compliment.
That's why we do video because I'm like nobody reads anymore.
I know.
But it's okay. They're
Yeah,
reading your
So
blog.
please, I hope everybody signs up and pass,
And pass this
Right.
along. Yeah, we'd
Yeah.
love to get to know lots of communities. So
Yeah,
we're
guys,
excited.
this is the time of year. The new school year is about to start. Don't
Yeah,
go into it
great
all
point.
frantic. Like, the help is here. The help, the support
And if you
is
want to
here.
set up one of these work and play for grown-ups at your house, a dinner,
yeah.
we're doing these right now. Like even if you want to squeeze one in before school starts,
Yeah, we can
we'd
still
love
do
to
it. Yeah.
We'll
Cool.
just show
Awesome.
up.
I love it.
You just bring the food and the drink.
and the friends.
Yeah, and the friends. Yeah.
I love it. They're not going to sell you jewelry, guys. I promise.
No, you're not going to go home with
jewelry,
anything
no
you won't
Tupperware.
use. No.
Ladies, thank you so much. Amy, Emily, this was amazing. I learned a lot, and I hope everyone else learned a lot.
was
And,
amazing.
yeah,
Thank
look
you.
forward
Thank
to
you for
keeping in touch
having
with you
us.
guys and watching your business grow. So, all right, guys, have a good one.
Thank you.
Thank you.